Thanks for stopping by, guys, and welcome back to Scrap Mechanic. Now, today we're going to be looking at some more tanks and cannon designs. Now, in the last episode, I showed off the armored car and the momentum cannons. Unfortunately, both of those are now obsolete. The new cannon design, I'm not going to take complete credit for. This is inspired by someone else's design. I'm not sure who the original creator is, so I can't give credit in that way. But I'm really happy with this, and let's take a look. Here they are. So these are both the main battle tank Mark 13. If you're asking where the 10, 11, and 12 went, those were all prototypes. They got into really late stages, but I scrapped them because I really wasn't happy with them. But these are amazing. This is it with its camo on, and this is it with its camo off, so you can get a better look at what it actually looks like. And here in a second, we'll take a look at the cannon itself. Nice little walk around. So the cannon itself is spud gun powered. You may recognize these cannons. I've known about them for a long time, but for the longest time, they just seemed really underpowered and really heavy and really big. And at the time, I had my bearing glitch cannons, so I really didn't have any use for these. But since the bearing glitch cannons broke, I tried making the momentum cannons, and they worked quite well. But I also wanted to take a look at these and try these. I'm not sure if the update made these more powerful, but these are amazing cannons. So how these work is from here is where your gunner position would be. You click and drag off the red block, filling this entire space of cardboard. You put your round, and when you're ready to fire, you fire. And it fires instantly, which is one of the great things about these cannons, that a lot of my other cannons, my bearing glitch cannons and the momentum cannons, had to charge the bearing before they could fire. So there was a delay. This one fires as soon as you hit the button. So what's happening and why does this work? So what's happening is when you actually hit the button, the first thing that happens when you hit the button is these 3 spud guns fire, destroying this cardboard. What happens when that happens, yes, that makes sense in my head as a sentence, is it disconnects the cardboard and the round from the rest of the cannon. And after a 0-tick timer, all of the other spud guns fire. I want to delete this just in case something blows up. But all the other spud guns fire, which deletes all of this cardboard. And the force from that spud gun firing just sends the round downrange at extreme velocities. And it is beautiful. Let's go ahead and fire this one more time, and then we'll actually hop into the tank and look at how that works. So from here, ready, aim, fire. Now this is shooting a bit to the left. I'm not sure why. I think it's just because it's not mounted, and the cannon is moving slightly when I fire it. But in the tank itself, it is extremely accurate. So let's go ahead and hop into it. I'm going to use the camo one because I'm afraid that one may be a bit older. If it is a bit older, there may be some differences between the two. So I'm going to use this one because I know this is up to date. So it uses my normal WASD tank steering. I went with a tank because I wanted this to be beefy, reliable. You can take a couple of hits before being knocked out. And with a lot of tires, it's really nice because you can lose 2 or 3 before you actually start having an issue driving. Let's get over to this open field, and we'll shoot at the other one. Go ahead and turn our turret. My turret controls are always the same with all of my tanks. 1 goes left, 2 raises the gun, 3 lowers the gun, 4 turns the turret right, 5 fires the main gun, and 6 fires a targeting machine gun. So let's go ahead and aim up here on this tank. And one of the beautiful things about this cannon is you see where the spud gun's landing. It's directly on the tank, right in between the chassis of the tank and the turret. Good place to hit a tank. This cannon follows the trajectory of a spud gun perfectly, like near perfectly at any range. If your spud gun's hitting your target, so will your main round. The Mark 9 was really good at this. It was slightly off. This is as close as I've been able to get to a perfect ballistic match between my cannon and my aiming device, or my spud gun aiming device. So in here, it's a little cramped, and there's no top on this, so you do have to be a little bit careful of that. You just have to aim in there, see your red block, click and drag, place your round. And from here, we can check our aim. We're a little bit to our left. There we go, fire. Boom. And we hit right on that right cheek, and we did destroy the seat. Let's go ahead and catch it. Now, it didn't penetrate the armor, but the explosion radius did creep in enough to destroy the seat down there. If you still had your seat, you still, from what I can tell, you still have your cannon, you still have all your steering, you still have all your wheels. We just hit in a sweet spot, which destroyed the actual seat itself, unfortunately. So talking about the destruction, I should probably look at some of the armor. I'm going to delete this so it doesn't go roaming by accident. So there's a few different armor techniques that I actually tried to use on this, and I'm really happy with how some of them turned out. This isn't perfect. It's not going to save you from every shot, but it will take 2 or 3 usually. As you just saw there, we just one-shot the tank. So it's not perfect. And you really shouldn't rely on your armor. You should rely on your fast fire rate and your maneuverability in most situations. Armor is kind of your secondary defense, if anything. So let's talk about the armor on this. First, let's go over the chassis. The front of this chassis is almost entirely armor all the way up to the turret. So up until from here all the way to about there-ish, or there, is just pure armor on the front of this tank. There's nothing important there. It's just armor and weight. And even if you lose those front 2 wheels, you can usually drive pretty well. As long as you have your other track, you can pretty much lose most of your wheels on this side of the tank. As long as you have these, you'll still be able to drive. On the sides, there is some skirting, which is this piece here, which I'm going to highlight real quick. You have your skirting. You do have some little tank fins. These are supposed to help catch rounds coming in at an angle. So if it hits here, instead of it skipping down your armor, going towards your engine bay, it'll hit this fin and detonate on the front of your tank. I realize this may not be the best idea, but it also means that rounds hit will be a little bit farther away from your armor when detonating, saving your armor a little bit more than normal. And honestly, it is also a bit of a aesthetic choice. I do think it looks really nice. And coming back to the back of the tank, there is no armor here. Pretty much you have the back layer of armor, you have another layer of armor, and then you should have the engine bay. Oh, no, there's actually more armor here than I remembered putting. And then you have your engine bay. Pretty much the back, yes, you can probably take a hit from the back, but you shouldn't be having your back pointed at your enemy. Now that we've taken a look at the chassis, let us take a look at the turret itself, armor-wise. So the front of this turret is quite armored. It is probably not the best I could have done. I could probably make it a bit more reliable and move the mounting of the cannon so that even if this left cheek gets destroyed, you will survive. But like you just saw there, when I hit the right cheek, it did destroy the seat. So I could improve that in the future. On the right and left side of the turret, you do have these big, large heat nets, or spaced armor, some people like to call them, just because of how these are designed. I designed them to be perforated so they'd be a little bit lighter, they look a little bit better, they look kind of cool in my opinion. And they also act as armor, so if something hits here, it detonates further away from your tank than it normally would, giving you some leeway and saving you a little bit. And on the back side of the turret, this is mostly decorative. And just to be completely honest, I built it mostly to be decorative. But because it is a large chunk of metal hanging off the back of your turret, it does actually absorb some of your impacts. So if you are getting hit from the back, it'll destroy here, and there's nothing important in this entire back section of the tank. So if I grab a spud gun real quick and detonate this. Now where the spud is, it may actually damage the engine bay, which it did not, fortunately. But there is nothing important back here. It's just sheer armor and decorative additions. So let's go ahead and just detonate a few explosions and see how well this tank works afterwards. There we go. So now we can take a look at our armor. We took one hit to the front, one hit to our front left, destroying part of our track, one hit to our pure left of the cannon, one to the back, and even though we didn't technically take a hit, we have a big chunk missing out of the back of our tank. Now we are missing a number of our tracks on both sides. That hit to the front there did disable a big portion of our left track, but are we still functional movement-wise? Aha! We can drive! So we are missing the majority of our wheels, but we are driving still because we are a tank. And do we have full operation of our gun? Let's see. Let's try and hit that tree over there. We still have our aiming machine gun. That is promising. Let's go ahead and load it up. Fire. And we've still got a fully functioning cannon. So that would have been 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. 5 hits if you count the one at the back. So I am really happy with this, both on its pure function. Driving feels nice. It is a little bit slow, but it does feel tanky. Looks, I love how it looks. The camo, the design, I really love it. Functionality, the cannon is amazing. And it is a tank. It can survive a few hits. I do want to improve the armor for future versions because armor is something that I haven't had much of a chance to experiment with lately. Since the bearing glitch cannons were broken and the new armor values for metal components, I really haven't done much experimentation with armor. So I'd love to do some more of that in the future. But I am overall really happy with this. This is on the workshop if you do want to play with it and do want to battle with your friends. It is the main battle tank Mark 13 Predator. I don't think I mentioned it before, but with my new naming convention for tanks, they do have their Mark number as well as a nickname. The Mark 9 was the Proto Titan, and this is the Mark 13, the Predator. And overall, I'm just happy. I can't say it enough. I'm really happy with how this tank turned out. One downside I did not note is because of how the turret is built, the cannon itself cannot aim down. This is a bit of a downside, but as long as you take that into account when aiming, you should be safe in most situations. But anyways, I am all out of time for this video. If you did enjoy, please leave a like. If you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments down below. Enjoy the channel, enjoy what I'm doing, please subscribe, it helps a lot. And right now, shares help the channel the most, so if you do want to help the channel, please share this episode with a friend. I'm going to take one last shot, try and hit that tip of that rock right over there. So, thanks for stopping by, thanks for sticking around, and until next time, peace.